Hello, my name is Toby Stone and I'm a published writer who lives in Manchester in England. Today I'm going to be doing a reading from my book which came out this February in 2013 called Aimee and the Bear. This is it, there's my name. My publisher is also based in Manchester, England, and they've described this book as being like Pan's Labyrinth set in a Manchester housing estate, which is a really good description if you've seen Pan's Labyrinth. If you happen to have not, then go and see it, or get it out, because it's brilliant. But apart from that, I would describe it as a little bit like Wizard of Oz, but more time spent in Kansas, so less time spent in Oz itself. But a mixture of the two. Right, so I'm doing a reading for Rachel Yelding's brilliantly visual blog, The Enchanted Violin, and I'm going to start it now. Well, just before I do, I should tell you the plot a little bit, otherwise it's going to make no sense whatsoever, because I'll be jumping in about 27 pages in. It's about a little girl called Aimee, who comes with two forms of name. The Aimee that you see on the front cover is the name that she has in the other world, that she's given herself, and the Aimee that she has in the normal world, the real world, is the more normally spelt A-M-Y kind of Aimee. She can't rely on any adults, because adults in her world are often dangerous, if not neglectful. So she's come to rely on the only thing that she can do, which is her teddy bear. When she cuddles her teddy bear, it's a magical kind of teddy bear, and it takes her through to the other place, and becomes a real bear in the process, a real bear which can protect her. It becomes her kind of guardian. She's about to go into another place as we pick up the story 26 pages in. Aimee turned her head left, towards the fuzzy, cozy corner of her bedroom, where her favourite teddy bear lay, Barnaby Bear. Barney looked at her as though he could barely stand to, askance and rolled to one side. He reached out his patched paw and placed it within Aimee's outstretched hand. The teddy bear didn't smile. This was not the time for smiling. Aimee was glad her mum didn't spot the teddy bear move his arm and place it against her palm. But then, of course, her mum couldn't see, not through the linen, and through Aimee's chest and left shoulder. Besides, her mother was busy. Barney winked at Aimee, and the little girl thought as hard as she could about another place, and felt herself falling. Our publisher has done an excellent job on the typescript and the layout of the book. As you can see here, when they go into the other world, it comes with this kind of design, so you can see when they're going there. The neck-length grass was grey, black where it crowded together. Indistinct, it webbed against her skin. There were insects below her. She could hear their carapaces chittering, their hard limbs chattering, their lips squeaking with please. "Please don't sit on me," they said, or just, "Please." She ignored their last wishes and sank back until she was sitting down. The sound the grass made was a sigh like that of Aimee's soul when it had upped and left her mother. The grubs crackled. Aimee lay back, elbows behind her ears, hands gripping their joints. The stars above her hung in patterns that seemed to make sense, as if the bedroom's ceiling was not still Artex, the corneas of Aimee's eyes, or her mother's face sculpted into her brain. Aimee retrieved a hand and reached out, making shapes out of the stars with her forefinger. The stars on her finger distracted the girl from the moon that rose in the north, the witch's moon. It was as yellow as Chris's Stella. Aimee had just finished pointing out the outline of a man's nose, the same nose she traced in the wallpaper beside her bed, when a roar battered the long grass. The slim waifs of the stems huddled together. The black of Aimee's pupils widened against the dark, pushing it back. Her breath made translucent speech bubbles of vapour that floated away. Her fear was nameless. The roar came again. It sounded almost human, and it shouldn't, Aimee couldn't help but think. Surely a creature that ate men shouldn't sound like them. "Save me," whispered Aimee, sitting with a twitch. At the edge of the swirling whirlpool circle of grass that was the glade, there was a circumference of trees with a witch's moon hue to them. Laburnum, thought Aimee. The thought registered but was quickly erased. A bear burst from the trees. Aimee stayed very still, and her lungs tried to join in. She closed her lips. You could never tell what kind of mood a man-eating bear might be in. It could be in a girl-eating mood. She shrank where she sat. The bear had an awkward way of moving, hunched on its right, still it came fast. The soil shivered at her rump. Then the bear was looming above her, its fur ruffled and annoyed, its teeth shredding the pattern of the stars. "Come on, girl." The bear looked down at her, canyoning the moon with its snout. "It's time to go to school. You can't be here when the moon rises full." In the darker hollows, Aimee could not see the wood, but could feel the trees. Their fingers were all over her. Of anything, Aimee knew the touch of fingers. All rigid, unbending twigs. They ripped at her dress. Aimee loved her dress. She stumbled. "Climb on my back, girl." He lifted her up, pressing her face into the matted warm fur at his back. It smelt like bark after a quick summer rain. In Aimee's extensive experiences, there were copses and there were forests. Then there were forests and there were woods. And then there were woods and there were real woods. This was the latter wood. It was vast and portentous, and it made the 100-acre wood seem as small as thin as a drawing on a page. In the latter wood, the potted tendrils of the laburnum trees were black and hollow and wraith-like, pouring at Aimee's face. In certain folds of land, the yellow moon poured down through the canopy. By its lunar light, Aimee could see faces in the trees. Most of these were ugly. During the day, the trees were dirty and yellow, as her mum would say, a chinky's bum. Aimee didn't like yellow because Aimee didn't like blondes. In Aimee's class at the day school, there was a girl called Lucy. Lucy was golden, their teacher, Mr. Mann, loved her. Worse, her hair shone as if she were happy. The trees were giving up their ghosts, thinning out as the bear and Aimee approached the night school. "We're late for registration," said Barnaby, huffing in a you-should-have-got-dressed-quicker sort of way. Aimee got down and stared up at Barnaby. In the diseased light, he looked nothing like the teddy bear who slept in her bed. "Thank you, Barnaby. I'll tell the teachers it was my fault, I promise. You won't get into trouble." Barnaby smiled wide enough, Aimee thought, to accidentally swallow a little girl. "I'll go the rest of the way on my own," she said. "I'm safe here. The gates aren't far away." "Yes." Barnaby cast his eyes at the heavens, and they caught a light Aimee couldn't see, glinting pure white in the black centre of their beads. In the south, beyond the growing moon and the canopy behind them, the wishing, wanting, and needing stars would be twinkling at each other. "Have a good night." Aimee didn't answer. She was walking away, her delicate, truncated stride, as if she dared not open her legs too wide, picking its way over snaggled-toothed thorns and splattering secretive brooks. Aimee stopped, looking up. She could see the night school gates. They were thin, filigree, magical, iron and tool. She couldn't see their tops, nor the gargoyles who sat discomforted on their spikes. They had to be high to keep out the witch on her broomstick. Aimee stared beyond them into the moon, which seemed caught between their barbs. It bled moonshine, and the lunar curve went on beyond sight, like a breast to a newborn's eye. "Cold as a witch's tit," said Aimee, her breath floating away in a haze. It was the kind of thing her mother would say, which Aimee thought was strange, because her mum's breasts were not cold at all. What Aimee did not think strange, what both Aimee and Aimee thought entirely natural, was that in this world her mother was the witch. Glancing skyward, her skin bumping, as if it had 1,000 moons to rise, Aimee ran to the gates, and when they finally opened, through them and into the night school. Right, that's the reading I'm going to do. I also promised Rachel, and I'm going to do some scanned copies, I hope, if I can find them, of the notes that I did prior to having Aimee and the Bear published. So this is an early stage, not, as I've just said, I couldn't find the Aimee and the Bear notes, but I could find notes for what I hope will be my second book, which is currently with my publisher, which is a book about psychic spiders, as all books should be. Psychic spiders who take over a local television station and broadcast spider propaganda. Like, "Please don't kill us, we can think and control you," and that kind of thing. Anyway, so this gives an idea of my writing. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm always writing either on bits of newspaper around the edges of margins or on any sort of spare bit of paper. Most of it's illegible, but obviously for this I had to make it slightly legible so that I could follow it later on. Quite often I don't know what I've been writing previously. Thank you very much for listening to my reading. If you've got any questions, I'm sure you can put it through Rachel. But wherever you are, whether it's dawn or dusk or twilight or in the middle of the night, I hope you have a good time. And I hope you get another chance to appear on Rachel's wonderful blog. Thank you very much, and goodbye.